Guess how every that you have connects into Google Workspace? It's through OAuth, right? So this is rapidly becoming an area that while ignored for a while, really presents an area of risk that we have to start paying attention to. But I thought the best way to do that was to first show you how powerful an OAuth grant is. So what you're going to see is basically, we have a victim here. This is what the victim sees in Google Drive, and what you'll notice is they don't really have a lot in their My Drive. Everything they have is in shared drives, right? Stuff that's been shared with them in the organization. And then on the attacker side, what you'll see is as soon as we are able to connect to that account, every single email in the victim's mailbox is going to be dumped into this Google sheet here that's owned by the attacker. The victim doesn't have access to it. And this command and control console here will be used to conduct business email compromise attacks, will be used to search for and exfiltrate sensitive data in Gmail. So the attack starts here, looks like a typical AI productivity website. Go ahead and click through and choose the account that we want to connect into. And Google will say, hey, this app hasn't been verified, but for a typical user, they don't know what that means, right? And all that means is this app has not gone through the verification process with Google, but you can still connect it to the account, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and click continue. This is where Google really doesn't do a good job of warning users what they're about to do, right? I'm about to give a bunch of really sensitive permissions into this account, and it's kind of just listed as, hey, are you sure you want to do this? Okay, but this first one here, read, compose, send, and permanently delete emails in Gmail should probably have a flashing red light next to it. That is a pretty sensitive set of scopes to grant. So I'm going to go ahead, grant those scopes, and I get a very friendly, hey, you're all set. Meanwhile, on the attacker side, you see a sheet got created, and as promised, every single email in that mailbox in seconds gets exfiltrated out into this sheet. I'll hop over to the command and control console, and I can start to search through Drive, right? And you'll remember that this employee or this user didn't really have a lot in their My Drive. What they have is a bunch of shared drives. So I'm actually searching across all of the shared drives right now. And there you go, I found some payroll information, right? And I can exfiltrate that now. But even worse, right? I can now come in here and start interacting with the mailbox as the victim, right? As the owner of the mailbox. And that's really good for doing things like business email compromise, getting wire data sent somewhere that it shouldn't go, getting gift cards sent to places that they shouldn't go. And then I can clean up the attacker's footsteps after that, right? So I've sent that email. I'm going to come back in. I'm going to search the mailbox for that email. And I'm doing all of this remotely, right? I'm not on the attacker's device. I'm not on the victim's device. I'm not on the victim's network. And now I'm going to delete this email, right? And that email is now gone from the mailbox. It's purged. The victim wouldn't even be able to see that someone had leveraged their mailbox to send an attack, right? You no longer need to get the identity of the account to interact with all the data in it and to act like that account. And this is not just theoretical, right? In April of this year, a company called Vercel was breached. And the way they were breached was an OAuth token that they had granted to a third-party app, that their employee had granted to a third-party app, was stolen. It was stolen by an attacker and then used to get access into the account. And then that access was used to move laterally, and eventually the attacker ended up in production where they got access to customer data. It happened again in May. Another company called Composio had exactly the same thing happen. So something connects into your environment. What you want to do is do an assessment of it and say, can I trust this vendor, right? Are the scopes acceptable, right? The scopes that they're asking for, what it's asking to do in my environment, is that okay? What's the blast radius? How much data does this thing have access to? What type of employee is trying to pull this in, right? And then what is the app doing, right? It's a new app. We can't really tell if it's doing anything malicious yet or not. And the point of all this is that what you want to be able to do is then go and look and see what exactly an app could do in your environment before you let it in. So let's say Lauren wanted to allow an app into her environment, into her account. I can tell you exactly what this OAuth app is going to have access to. I can tell you exactly the types of data that this AI agent might be getting access to. If it's a malicious app, I can tell you exactly what might have happened in that account if we weren't able to block it in time, if it was allowed through by mistake, right? And this is the view. This blast radius here is what drives home the benefit of taking a holistic approach to Google Workspace security. And it's made even more important by the fact that there are agents now. When we did our survey of our customers, we saw 200 to 300 grants being done a month into the thousands in November of last year when AI agents started to become a thing in Google Workspace, right? So the velocity at which this is happening is very high as well. So in any case, yeah, that is the attack I wanted to show you today, trying to get you all a little bit worried about Google Workspace and OAuth, both from an attacker perspective as well as a productivity perspective.